Hello and welcome to Inside Casting on the Virtual Channel Network. I'm Edna Boldin and I'm a casting director. Well, I grew up in Texas as a cowgirl. My family had cattle and were into ranching, and my mother sent me to tap dancing, singing, piano, ballet, art classes, determined that I wasn't going to grow up to be a cowgirl. And then I got into acting. I was performing actually when I was 4 or 5 years old on stage, and I would get to get out of school and put on makeup and do this whole thing. And then when I was in high school, I started doing summer stock at the Point Summer Theater, and there I met a director who had a touring company, National Children's Theater. So I ended up right out of high school touring with National Children's Theater, and then eventually went back to college and ended up with a scholarship. The second time they wanted me to go on tour with National Children's Theater, and we toured 15 states doing 3 different shows, maybe 50 performances of each show. I said, okay, if you'll give me a scholarship. And they ended up giving me a scholarship to the Goodman School of Drama of the Art Institute of Chicago, back when it was part of the Art Institute. So I started out as an actor and was very much into theater. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, I thought, how am I going to get known? And I know actors do this with me too. I signed up for some classes with some casting directors. And I had taken video production work in college. And so I mentioned to the assistant, you know, if you ever need a camera operator in your casting sessions, would you think of me? She looked me kind of up and down. She said, can you come into work tomorrow? And I guess they were just really stuck for someone. So that very next day I was working in a casting office, doing commercial casting with Bobby Morris and Beverly Long. And I loved it. I just loved the casting process. And more I got into casting and out of acting. And then my cousin wrote me a letter saying that there's a lot of casting in Texas. So I ended up moving to Houston and starting my own casting company. And Houston really was not my cup of tea. So from there I went to Austin, which is a really cool city. And Austin became sort of a film mecca for independent, low budget, you know, Robert Rodriguez and Mike Judge and all these directors were living in Austin. So that's kind of how I got into casting, was through the back door, through acting, through some classes, and just, I want to say luck, but really it was fate that had me going in that direction. And that was 25 years ago or so. So I've been doing it a while.